Yo, we're online. Please, please, please introduce us. Please. This is.
Yeah, I feel like it's defeating the purpose if we don't overdo it. This is Nick. That's Fowles. We're two guys with spare time, and we're here to talk to you about three surprising headlines, if they occurred, that we would be surprised, or three headlines we really don't want to see. Right. So basically, we would like this season to end without seeing these headlines. If they popped up, we're disappointed, we're sad, we're depressed. However deep you want to go with it. Um, I'm going to start us off.
Sure.
I'm going to start
Let's
us
go.
off
Let's go. Let's go.
just because we'll alternate
Just
through.
footnote here for all the positives. Nick wanted to talk about himself, so.
Yeah, it'll
I'd
be
like-
interesting. I'll be like, KD gets injured, Booker gets. No, I won't do that. I'll do something a little bit different. I'm clearly in a bit of a jovial mood, so I'm going to go with number one, LaMelo Ball. I don't like ankle braces. I'm taking them off. So we talked about this in a previous video before. This is a man who's had a couple of non-contact injuries, and he has even made a couple of comments about his lack of interest in wearing ankle braces, but has decided this season to do so, and has looked quite good. And for a man who will get injured without coming into contact with other people, this is a good thing. But if he gets to 10 games, 15, 20 games, he gets a bit of false confidence about himself. He thinks, I don't need this anymore. And he decides, I feel freer when I don't have them on. That is a bad headline if you're a Charlotte Hornets fan, if you have him in fantasy, or if you are banking on one of those three brothers actually having a good career beyond a year.
What's going on here, man? You just took my first headline.
Let's go.
But you're right. You're right. Please, please wear your braces for the 82 games, all right? And you know what? Maybe crazy things will happen. Like, here's a surprising headline: Charlotte Hornets make the play-in.
That's
Yeah,
you don't want to
yeah,
see that. That's
yeah, yeah,
surprising to
yeah.
you.
I
That
had
would
to, I
shock
had to,
you.
I had to pivot here, all right? But hey, LaMelo Ball wears his ankle braces for 82 games, and the Charlotte Hornets make the play-in. Yeah, that would be surprising. I would say, no doubt, to suggest that the Hornets are a 38 to 42 win team, because we rarely see that. Man, I don't know, man. I don't know about the Hornets fans out there, man. I know you guys got a nice teal. I love your logo. I love your court. I love a
Great
lot of things about
uniform.
your club, man. Okay, but it's like surely, and as a Magic fan for many years, we've been in the wilderness between our franchise centers that we've had over the decades in a sense. But it's like, man, I don't know what was the last highlight that the Hornets has really. I don't know. You drafted them, Melo.
Yeah, yeah. Or he's had a couple of nice highlights, throwing the ball for his legs, all that good stuff. But yeah, look, Lamelo, good, good. Wow, Charlotte's getting a lot of love this pod.
All right,
Weeks,
two.
good.
Number two. What do you got, number two, man?
Number
You better not
two.
pinch another one of mine, man. But go anyway.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, hopefully I don't. This one is a very general headline. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get you to imagine the insertion that I do. But insert
Insert.
absolutely wild, crazy, anti-popular quote about a group of people or an ethnicity that he shouldn't have commented on. End quote, Kyrie Irving says. Okay, we do not want to have any more crazy Kyrie Irving headlines. Last season, he was incredibly quiet. In fact, the only headlines that generated out of Kyrie Irving were based off his play on a basketball court. That is the Kyrie Irving that we want. And we had a really good season because of it. And we had a really interesting season because of it, because he just went out, played ball, played really well, seemed like a really good mentor for the team as well, but didn't do any silly stuff. Didn't align himself with anybody, didn't didn't throw his hat into a ring that got him in a bit of trouble because the NBA is specifically aligned one way. That is a headline I don't want to see next season. Kyrie Irving says, insert something ridiculous.
Look, I'm gonna agree that no one's to see that, but maybe there's a bigger point here. Like, uh, honestly, I think Kyrie, from everything that I've sort of read online and that we know as a fan from thousands of miles away, is a pretty smart guy, right? And we know he's a really capable basketball player, in that sort of sense. If we look back now, yeah, would it be realistic to say that he said a few stupid stuff, but have a lot of players done that? And in fact, maybe the one that comes to memory here, it's not really a player here, is what Morey shared, then spoke about, that cost the NBA millions of dollars, yeah, hundreds of millions of dollars with the whole Chinese industry. which is actually an article that popped up this week, because apparently, Adam Silver's feeling more positive about China and maybe games going back there in the next few years or something like that. But I think, look, maybe it's been a little bit too hyped up what Kyrie said. Maybe he actually is a sane and rational person that says a few things here and there that, maybe we don't all agree with, but you know what? Because he's Kyrie Irving, it suddenly got blown up to a billion people then decide to get on the bandwagon. Whereas clearly, that's not really what happens to the everyday man, right? I don't know, man. Like, I don't think there's a high risk of that headline occurring, is what I'm trying to say.
I think, look, the main issue with Kyrie Irving is he is very forthcoming, all right? And this is probably the issue of being in the public light. And it would be quite difficult, I imagine, where everything you do is scrutinized so heavily. But I know I don't want to use the shut up and dribble quote because that obviously is problematic in and of itself because sports and those public platforms is a really good way to bring attention to things that other people aren't aware of. And you're seeing that currently with, say, Caitlin Clark, right? And what she's having an impact on WNBA, and that's really important and all of that. But for Kyrie Irving specifically, now has a reputation. So if he does anything, then it becomes a problem. And he had a really quiet season. You kind of hope that he continues that. That could be a maturity thing. It could also just be you know what, I actually get nothing out of it anymore. I found my own inner peace with not having to be vocal. But yeah, that's. I'm glad that headline was good. You're gonna love my third one.
Hey, look, my second one here is one that I personally, this is a personal headline that I really, would you know, I think would be bad to see, yeah? And you understand why in a sec when I put it out there. It says, Zachary Richard leads Rookie of the Year race. Yeah, okay, and you know what? You're right. I've been watching the box scores. He looks pretty reasonable in the preseason. I'll give you that. I'm still gonna stand by week 3 he's on the bench and playing 15, 20 minutes a game, and then maybe that's not worth a fantasy spot in your team anymore. But, look, I'm sure Atlanta fans and Nick from Two Guys with Spare Time would all like to spin it as that would be a great headline. But I'm going to say from my point of view, that would be a terrible headline, yeah, that this kid in
No,
Atlanta...
you know what? I respect it. You've picked a side, right? We all pick sides in debates, and for no reason other than me just picking him up and being a little bit excited to see what he does, you are now completely off Zachary Richard for the rest of his career. So this is good. Just like Davion Mitchell seems to be
out of the league in 4 years.
Yeah. Just like how Davion Mitchell is somehow now tied to me. I don't even think I was that high on him. Maybe we just share a surname and you're like, that's your guy.
Do you want me to go find that clip? I'm sure we can find that clip somewhere. We threw out hundreds of clips now that we've had that you were...
Sure. Maybe I've said something about it.
I swear you said something like Davion Mitchell has all-star potential.
No, I feel like I've revoked my own quality on that. But look, I'm going to do my number 3, and I'm going to keep it in the same vein. This is a headline that I don't want to see.
Yep.
And I'm going to preface this a little bit. This is going to need some nifty editing.
Okay.
Because
I'll try my best.
This is going to need you to snippet this well. It doesn't need any fancy sound effects. It just needs to be thing. I've got to make sure I get the camera right because I got to get this good.
To suck.
So I've
Lollipops.
Getting eye contact here. No, that's not what we're going for. The headline that I don't want to see in the 2024-2025 NBA season is a very simple headline. It's Ben Simmons.
I don't get it. I don't get it. My intellect is not like Kyrie's.
I just don't want to see anything to do with Ben Simmons. I'm done. I've been done for the entire time. I know that he came out and said a statement that, people are going to take these comments back or wish it's differently. I'm not. I've never been so invested in something that I've ever said in my life. Ben Simmons headlines, they need to stop. I do not want to see them anymore.
Man, I feel like you got a lot of dislike for this fellow Aussie.
Yeah. I'm sure he'll be fine on his $100 million property. He's doing great.
That's obviously in a real stressful year because he might not get a paycheck next year.
Yeah.
So he's also on his best behavior. He's also on his best behavior, and he's hoping his nerve impingements in his back don't pinch him some more because because he would like maybe another $5 or $10 million the next year too. I would imagine. Surely, yeah.
Oh man, yeah.
To maintain his lifestyle somewhere. Like I'm not sure about what off the court investments Ben Simmons might have like delved into, but
Yeah.
but hey, look, I get it. But hey, look, you don't want to see a Ben Simmons headline, but you just gave him a whole bunch of ammo because 2GST is breaking out this year, so um,
Go
hey, look,
for it.
all right, here's my third
Go
one.
for it.
Here's my third one, man. I'm sure you're gonna agree with this one, man. But how do I spin it? Okay, how do I spin this third headline? LeBron James makes 2 free throws after tearing his Achilles.
Wow. Wow. Okay. All right.
Now,
Wow. This
again,
is
again, 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 I put some thought into
wow.
this, right? I put some thought into this, right? Is that, look, man, I've never been a LeBron lover, yeah. Okay, but
Evidently.
but in all honesty, but remember, this is a bad. I'm not saying this is good, yeah. This is a bad headline. Nobody wants to see this. I think we're at the point here whether look again. I can't speak for all the LeBron haters, man. There's too many of them out there. Okay, but I'm gonna say I've never been a LeBron lover, but as much as when we're talking from a comparison perspective and we're arguing rankings and so on and so forth, I've always sort of not put him number one in many different lists for whatever reason. Okay, surely would like to see him ride off into the sunset healthy. Not another story where this all-time great went out with an injury, a big career-ending injury, okay, that was a big final sort of, a straw, a nail in the coffin, or whatever you want to call it, yeah, of a legendary career. And that's what I'm trying to say, because that's really what it was with Kobe, wasn't it? Yeah, it was like,
No, so this is the interesting thing. I'm going to say no here. So Kobe tears his Achilles, but he comes back to complete another season.
yeah, but he was
So
never the player he was before.
no, but this is the thing. I think with LeBron, there is a collective understanding he's no longer that player, right? The stats for LeBron are really deceiving because they're all offensive stats, right? And this is probably a credit to his genius, and he is able to maintain averages, but he doesn't play defense the same way. He doesn't athletically get around the court the same way, and he shoots more jump shots. So there is alterations to his game. We have now lost the Miami Cleveland 2.0 LeBron.
Of course,
That's no
of
longer the
course.
play that we get. And I get what you're saying. If he had an Achilles injury, he'll come back and play and he'll finish it on his terms, but he would not be the same player at all. It'd be hard to imagine what kind of player he'd be like without any athleticism, which will occur when you're 41 having an Achilles. Um, but those injuries, there aren't many players who hurt themselves and just stop. The only one I can think of is Isaiah Thomas, where he did his Achilles in the same season that he retired.
How do you
Larry
remember?
Bird,
Were
I
you even
think, with
born?
the just it's a beautiful mind. It's not important. But Charles Barkley comes back after his quad injury and tries to like play a little bit more, but clearly out of shape, no good. Dwight Howard had a really prolonged career after his back surgery, and that was really the end. And he started being a journeyman after that. Steve Nash still come back after his broken
You know what?
leg, and
KD's
then
probably
back
the one that
as
jumps
well.
in mind, right? KD has come back and he's still playing
Katie's
at a high level.
yeah, and that's Katie is almost the poster child for an Achilles injury, but I wouldn't even say poster child. I would almost say like the unicorn of an Achilles injury because he's the only one to do it. He's the only one
Because
to
even
come back.
Clay has lost his,
Clay's no
play.
longer the
Yeah,
same.
correct,
Derrick
correct.
Rose was not the same after his injury. You can make a case and say Zach LaVine, who has had ACL surgery. I don't think people are well aware of that. It was a really niche issue when he was in Minnesota, but he has had an
He was
ACL
also
surgery and
young,
he's
though.
really
He
struggled.
was also
He
young.
was young. So I think, if LeBron had an injury, it would be devastating because it's not the way we want the chapter to end.